So I said this in a Discord yesterday, and I'm not really sure why I said this because I'm not really one to sit there and point out negatives and just be a doomer in general, especially when it comes to games like Splitgate and Impulse. But I posted this anyway, and now I want to come on here and talk about the player count currently of this game and why it might be the biggest problem this game has. So everyone knows the player count for this game is really low. And obviously the player count was just going to be low based off of the type of game it is, the fact that it hasn't really been advertised much, and the fact that 1047 is the dev team behind it. But the player count being this low was really shocking, at least to me, considering that 1047 shared that they had 250k wishlist and they said like 50,000 people or something bought the game. I also know that there are a lot more players on console, but even still, the player count is just a massive issue. Another thing concerning is that the player count is actively dropping, and it has been dropping fast lately. Like, it's basically halved over the last week or couple of weeks, so I wanted to bring some awareness to this and talk about why it's such a problem. Well, one major problem is queue times. Queue times in this game are absolutely atrocious, especially during low population hours. If you are a high rank in this game and you want to queue ranked anytime that is not max population hours, you are just screwed. You will genuinely get 30-minute to 1-hour queue times. It is absolutely insane. And I know a lot of people don't care about that, either because they're low ranked or they mainly play pubs, but this is also a major problem for pubs. I will wait 5+ minutes for a pubs queue, and that's while queuing every game mode that isn't mech specific, which is something I'll talk about later. But basically what I'm saying is queue times are absolutely inexcusable, and I will often end up getting off solely because it takes me 10 minutes just to get into a match. I don't know if this is specifically a player count issue or if it's a matchmaking issue or if it's both, but it's a major problem and absolutely has to be fixed. Going along with the matchmaking issues, there is absolutely no comp in this game. What I mean by this is that ranked is just not competitive. There are just simply not enough good players playing, so the ranked experience past like plat or diamond is absolutely awful. You will just not get good players to play against unless you specifically queue when good players are queuing, but even then, a team will have 2 good players on them, and the other 2 will just have no business being there. Overall, this just makes ranked unfun, uncompetitive, and absolutely pointless. Another problem the player count causes is that it acts as a major deterrent for new people and content creators who want to play and create content on the game. People will see Impulse or hear of Impulse, look up the player count, see triple digits, and immediately write the game off instead. I understand that 1047 wants to create a small core community to build the game around, but that community is just not sticking. And that's for many reasons, but partially because there's no hype around the game and no real reason to keep playing solely outside of supporting the game. And continuing on about 1047's plan to build the game around community feedback, am I the only one not really seeing that? I mean, we have gotten some cool things based on community feedback, like certain balancing changes, the buff to movement speed, and obviously they added the experimental ADS playlist, but recently I haven't really seen many changes. The map they added is cool and it is a good map, but I don't really know why that's the priority when there are so many issues with the core game that people want fixed. For example, mechs. Mechs are currently terrible. I am actually one of what feels like very few people who really don't think the mechs should be completely removed from the game, or at least not permanently, but in their current state, they're just awful. They are unfun to play against, unfun to play in, and just overall feel underbaked and bland. Another huge one is customs. The core community this game has been trying to build absolutely yearns for customs. The community wants to host events. They want to host tournaments and they want to make content on the game, but without customs, all of that is extremely limited. I was already very surprised that early access dropped without customs, and all of the community was given was a loose time frame and nothing else. Customs would be a giant boost to this game, and for me and many others would bring back the desire to grind again. I also want to mention snipers real quick, which the community has been complaining about for well over a week now, and nothing has been said, at least to my knowledge. And this is especially concerning because early access is coming to an end. I don't think they have said exactly when the full game is supposed to drop yet, but we are already well into phase 2 and the game is in version 0.8, so early access has to be ending soon. Despite this, the game still feels extremely unpolished. The perks feel unbalanced, most of the paints are basically useless, and the attachments are still very basic and have yet to be added upon. Right now, the entire community, and unfortunately now including me, seems to be deep into the doomer mindset, and 1047 just isn't doing enough about that. I'm not saying this because I hate the game and I don't think it has a future. I genuinely like the game, and despite all of these issues, I keep coming back to it. I personally think that the player count should be priority number one for this game, and maybe fixing some of the issues I listed above would help with that. But at the end of the day, no matter how good the game is, if nobody plays it, it's not going to go anywhere. However, these are obviously just my opinions and why I haven't really been playing much lately, so feel free to add your own input in the comments or in your own posts. Goodbye.